your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with.
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Is that correct?
What happens when a cabinet secretary refuses to admit a fact that's already settled law? You get the moment Dan Goldman engineered here. This wasn't an argument over immigration philosophy. It wasn't left versus right. Goldman reduced the entire issue to a legal checkpoint, one that requires no opinion, no ideology, and no interpretation. Asylum is a lawful status under U.S. law. People with active asylum cases are legally present. That's not debatable. And yet, when confronted with that reality, Secretary Noem wouldn't acknowledge it. Not directly, not indirectly, not even accidentally. She talked around the law instead of answering for it.
Complain about things. We fix them. Well, go fix them. If you don't like the law, quit bellyaching, quit hitting and attacking our ICE officers, quit going out and protesting and screaming vile things at them, quit calling them names. We wouldn't let our children do that. Go do something that actually matters by having an honest debate and changing the law. That's your jobs. You all should be fired, in my viewpoint.
I agree. Thank you so much for that, Secretary Noem. Back in 2021, I was one of only 16 members who voted against the Allies Act of 2021, which increased the number of special immigrant visas for Afghan nationals and loosened vetting requirements for eligibility. This brought in over 76,000 Afghans. Director Kent, what actions are being taken to identify and remove any of the 100,000 Afghan nationals admitted under the Biden admin who may have ties to terrorism, like the one who shot 2 National Guard members, tragically killing Sarah Beckstrom here in Washington, D.C.?
I'm sorry, gentlelady's time has expired, but...
Can he just answer?
No, we're keeping everything quick to the 5 minutes. I'm sorry, but gentleman from New York is now recognized, Mr. Goldman, for 5 minutes.
Secretary Noem, let's talk about the law. Do you agree that asylum is a lawful pathway to immigrate to this country? Yes or no?
There's an asylum program, yes, in place.
All right. So immigrants then with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country, correct?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Your question was?
Immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country.
There are individuals in this country that have applications that...
And they are legally here because it's a lawful pathway, right?
It's a lawful pathway.
Okay, so if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with...
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Is that correct?
It was greatly violated when they allowed...
I'm asking you.
People to come
I'm asking you.
Asylum applications.
Why are you filibustering? Why can't you answer the question? It's a simple question.
Your president,
if your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Isn't that correct?
The asylum program was broken under the last...
Mr. Chairman, I'll reclaim my time. She's not answering the question. But the obvious answer is that, yes, if you follow a lawful pathway, asylum is a lawful pathway. If you have an open asylum case, you are here lawfully. But the problem that we are seeing around the country is that you are not following the law. Don't tell us to change the law. If you don't like the asylum system, you change the asylum law. Bring it to us. We'll work with you. I think it needs to be changed. But you can't just decide that you're not going to follow the law, and asylum is a law, and deport people who have ongoing applications. Unfortunately, that is exactly what's happening. It's happening across the street from my office right in New York City. Numerous, thousands of people who have come to court appearances, have left them with open asylum applications, have been arrested. And then they've been shipped off and many deported. In September, one applicant was ripped away from his wife and small children after such a court appearance. And then this happened to his wife. Please play the video. No, it's not. It's not this one. All right, it's not this video. Here it is.
Come on, man. Come on.
Now, after this incident, your department issued a statement that said the officer's conduct in this video is unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE. Our ICE law enforcement are held to the highest professional standards, and this officer is being relieved of current duties as we conduct a full investigation. 3 days later, you reinstated that officer and you put him back on duty. I sent you a letter and asked you what investigation was done and why was he reinstated? You did not answer that letter. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right here to explain to me that if that officer's conduct was, quote, beneath the men and women of ICE, unquote, why did you reinstate him?
Sir, that investigation was completed. I can give you that investigation and the information that you would like. This is
Well, I wrote you 2 months ago. Why haven't you given it to me
I'm
yet?
actually surprised that you haven't gotten it. I'm going to ask my staff about that.
Well, you
because
shouldn't
I
be
have
surprised
responded
because generally
to
speaking, you
hundreds
do
and
not
hundreds, if
respond
not
to
thousands
us.
of your letters.
Now, the other problem
New
that
York
we are
is when he had
seeing
this
all
job,
over
didn't
the
respond to letters
country
for years.
is that your officers are wearing masks, are dressed in plain clothes, often going around without identification.
All of our officers are
And
identified.
I'm not asking a question. I introduced the No Secret Police Act to stop this. And we now have 113 co-sponsors so that they will not be masked and that they will identify themselves. Now, you say all of them are identifying themselves. That is not the case because last month in New York City again, the NYPD officers were injured by your masked plainclothes ICE officers after they were called from 911 as residents witnessed your officers pulling individuals out of their vehicles and chasing them down the street. I also asked you what happened there. How were the NYPD officers injured by your officers? And you didn't respond. What's the answer?
Sir, our individual
Gentlemen's
officers
time
are
is
identified.
time has expired.
What Goldman revealed over the next several minutes is far more serious than a bad hearing performance. He demonstrated how a federal agency can quietly step outside the boundaries Congress set. Not by announcing defiance, but by refusing to recognize limits at all. The turning point was deceptively simple. Goldman asked whether deporting someone with an active asylum application violates federal law. That question doesn't require empathy. It doesn't require agreement. It requires only honesty. And yet Noem avoided it repeatedly. She blamed prior administrations. She recited unrelated enforcement talking points. She used language that sounded official but answered nothing. The avoidance itself became the evidence, because when officials won't say where their authority ends, it suggests they don't believe it does. Goldman then shifted from theory to consequence. He described a man who followed the legal process exactly as written. He appeared in court. He maintained an open asylum claim. And still, ICE officers detained him immediately after his hearing, pulling him away from his wife and children in public. The incident was caught on video. Noem's own department condemned the conduct, calling it unacceptable and below agency standards. Then something extraordinary happened. 3 days later, the same officer was reinstated. No explanation. No disciplinary record released. No response to congressional inquiries. Goldman documented the follow-up. He requested records. He sent formal letters. He asked for the investigative findings. He received nothing. And that silence is the pattern he was warning about. When agencies stop responding to Congress, accountability collapses by default. The masking issue made the danger even clearer. Goldman explained that ICE officers conducting raids in unmarked clothing with covered faces and no visible identification has already resulted in local police being injured because they couldn't distinguish federal agents from armed civilians. That's not enforcement discipline. That's operational breakdown. But the core of Goldman's argument wasn't emotional. It was structural. If Congress creates a legal pathway, executive agencies do not get to nullify it by ignoring it. If someone is lawfully present, removing them isn't enforcement. It's violation. Disagreement with the law does not grant permission to break it. Goldman made the principle unavoidable. Democracies don't erode when laws change. They erode when officials decide which laws they'll recognize and which people those laws apply to. His message was blunt. Don't ask Congress to fix the law while refusing to obey the law that already exists. That's why this exchange matters. Not because of immigration politics, but because once the government treats legality as optional, no status protects anyone. Not asylum seekers, not citizens, not veterans, not families. A government that won't follow its own laws cannot credibly enforce them. And Goldman forced that reality onto the record.